Welcome back to Plant-Based Kidneys Kitchen. I'm Michelle Krasmer, renal dietitian, and we're making pasta today. This is a one-pot, pretty simple, creamy, dairy-free pasta recipe that we have made more kidney-friendly, more kidney protective. So I got this recipe on a blog called Yep, It's Vegan, and I will include the link for the recipe. I've, of course, made some tweaks to make it a little bit more kidney-specific, and then I did the nutrient analysis to make sure that you guys have the information for things like potassium, phosphorus, sodium, fiber, those nutrients that we are concerned with kidney disease. So to get started, we are going to saute some garlic and shallot or garlic and onion. You can do this either in some olive oil, some avocado oil, or I'm just going to use a little bit of low sodium vegetable broth if you want to make an oil-free version. Okay, so I'm just going to get some of this heated up a little bit. And again, you really just need a splash of it. This is the size pan that I'm using because basically what we're doing is we are making the sauce and then cooking the noodles directly in it. So as the name implies, it is a one-pot pasta recipe. You don't have to boil noodles separately, dirty another pan. A lot of creamy pasta dishes have cashews are part of it, but you have to blend and make the sauce separately. So then you have the blender to wash. So luckily we're just doing it all in one thing. So first I finely chopped up some shallot. It's about one shallot, one large shallot. It makes about a 1/4 cup portion. You can use onion, white, purple, red, yellow, sweet onion, whatever you want instead, but this is a shallot. And I'm just sauteing this over medium heat. Okay, so the next thing is going to be garlic. Let me give this a quick stir. Okay, so the garlic. I like to use actual garlic cloves and then mince it because I think that tastes the best and gives the most flavor. So I used about 4 medium-sized garlic cloves and then I minced it up. I did not mince it by hand. I don't know where it is, but I have a little garlic mincer tool that makes it super easy. If you buy garlic already minced, then it's going to be about a tablespoon portion of minced garlic. If you don't have any fresh garlic or any minced garlic, then you can do garlic powder. And I looked this up. It would be, so 4 garlic cloves would be about a teaspoon of garlic powder. So you're welcome to use garlic powder instead of actual minced garlic if that makes it even more simple and easy. All right, so again, we're just going to saute this. We don't need them to get browned or anything. We're just going to saute for a couple of minutes. I'm going to add the garlic right now. And pretty quickly, smells delicious. You can also use, like if I haven't had shallots or I've run out of onion, then I've used just onion powder. So both of those are totally fine to do. You can make this super easy and not have to chop anything really. Besides your veggies, and we'll talk about that later. Okay, so these are sauteing in here. So the sauce that the noodles are going to cook in is very, very easy. It is going to be about 1.5 cups of a plain unsweetened plant milk. I like to do cashew milk because I think it's creamier. Almond milk and oat milk and rice milk are more watery. You can do cashew milk that you've made yourself at home, or if you are buying a store-bought version, then you want to check the ingredient list, make sure there's no phosphorus additives. But again, 1.5 cups. And all I'm going to do is take my low sodium vegetable broth and add 2 cups of that to this. So I'm going to have 3.5 cups total of liquid. All right, that's pretty much exactly the amount. All right, sure. Okay, so what we're going to do is the garlic and onions or garlic and shallots are now starting to sizzle. So I'm going to pour the cashew milk and the vegetable broth directly into this pan. And again, it's on medium heat. Okay, and then we're going to add a couple more seasonings to this. So I'm going to do about 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. The original recipe called for a teaspoon of salt. You could add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, but I think the best thing to do is not add any salt to the recipe. And then once it's all cooked and you serve it up, before you eat, if you need to sprinkle on a little salt or garlic salt or add hot sauce is what I do, but my husband adds garlic salt, then you're going to use much, much less than if you're adding salt while you're cooking and then maybe even adding some at the end. The other thing I like to do is add about 1/2 teaspoon of some crushed red peppers to give it a little bit of heat. I am now that I have a baby, I have an 11-month-old and he loves this dish and has it and is not supposed, doesn't really like the heat and also shouldn't be having added salt. I just leave those out of the recipe. And if I want to add that to my personal dish, then I do that at the end. So the next thing we're going to do is add 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. So I have my nutritional yeast here. And again, this gives a cheesy umami type of flavor. This, I don't think it called for this in the original recipe, but I like it to be a little bit more cheesy, creamy pasta, kind of more like a Alfredo, I guess. So I add the nutritional yeast to it. So again, we have the plant milk, we have low sodium vegetable broth, we added some pepper, crushed red peppers if you want. We had sauteed garlic and shallots, and then I added nutritional yeast. And then basically, we're going to add our noodles, our dry noodles directly to this. So you want to do 8 ounces of dry noodles. I'm going to give you, once this starts cooking, I'm going to give you the nutrition information for the liquid and the sauce alone, and then separately for noodles, because it's going to depend what type of noodles you use. I usually like to use either chickpea noodles, or this is a lupini bean and semolina wheat noodle. The only ingredients is the semolina wheat and lupini beans. I like to do this one. It has a little bit more plant protein and more fiber, and overall less, total carbohydrates or carb to fiber ratio. But regardless, whatever you're using, an 8-ounce box, be mindful because the big pasta boxes are 16 ounce, so you would only use half. So 8 ounces of dry pasta noodles goes directly into the pot. Easy as that. We're going to give it a stir, make sure the noodles are fully covered, and then put the lid on. And basically what you want to do is you want to bring this to a low boil or a simmer, and then you're going to stir it while it's cooking. I found if I just let it go, even on turning the heat down low, sometimes it's boiled over before, and that just makes a mess. So keep an eye on it. Once it starts to boil a little, you'll take the top off, you'll give it a stir, take the top off, give it a stir. And depending what type of noodle you're doing, it could take anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes. I'd say it's usually about 10 to 15 minutes is what I have found with the different types of noodles that I've done. So I'm going to give you the nutrition breakdown for the sauce right now. And then once this cooks, I'll show you guys what it looks like and we'll go over the full nutrition information. So for just the sauce, per serving, so again, this 8-ounce box of dry pasta noodles is 4 servings. So 1 serving is about 2 ounces dry, and you'll see how big of a portion that comes out to once it's cooked. But so 4 servings for the whole recipe. Per serving, just the sauce, it's 38 calories. It'd be a little bit more calories if you use an oil, but we just use some veggie broth. 137 milligrams of sodium, 5 grams of carbs, 1 gram of fiber, 3 grams of protein, 144 milligrams of potassium, and 140 milligrams of phosphorus. The nutritional yeast does have some phosphorus in it, but again, it's still low phosphorus, low potassium, low sodium for the sauce, and then it just comes down to what noodles we use. So just to remind you, you're going to keep an eye on this. You're going to give it a stir every few minutes as it cooks. And then you're just going to let it cook until the liquid has fully absorbed into the pasta noodles and you have a creamy mixture. I want to show you what it looks like in the middle of cooking. So again, as I said, you're going to want to give it a stir every couple of minutes. It's been about 5 minutes right now. The noodles are getting a little softer. There's a little bit less liquid, but I'm just keeping the lid on. I've turned the heat down to low, and I'm going to let it do its thing. Of course, with any dish that we eat, we want to be getting vegetables in with it. And especially because this is a pasta dish, it's a little bit heavier in carbs. We want to get non-starchy vegetables. So that could be, you could be roasting vegetables right now in the oven. This is good for, asparagus, cauliflower, broccoli, even green beans are good options. You could be sauteing vegetables on the side. So bell peppers is really good for this. Cabbage even would be good. I know that sounds weird, but it all is mixed together and tastes good. You could do some kale for a lower potassium green or spinach for a higher potassium green. I'm really, because I think it's easier and it goes with pasta, is I'm just making a side salad. So I have some butter lettuce. I'm going to chop up some bell pepper, some onion, and then some cucumber, add that all to my salad. And again, this is only going to take max about 15 minutes for this pasta to cook. Gives me time to get my side veggie dish together. So when the pasta is done, then I can eat it all together. It's been about 15 to 20 minutes and our pasta is ready. So I'm going to turn my stove off. And if you could see, all of the liquid has absorbed and we have this nice creamy pasta. And it's delicious. So to serve it up and then give you the nutrition information. Again, we use an 8-ounce box of dry pasta. So 2-ounce dry is 1 serving. So this whole dish makes 4 servings. 2-ounce dry makes about 1 cup cooked, but it's a pretty heaping cup. So I'll show you what that looks like. This is a 1 cup measuring cup. So pretty solid 1 cup. So if I were having this with a side salad, I would just use a normal bowl and then add that in, and there's my creamy pasta. If I was having this with some veggies that I either roasted in the oven or cooked on the side, then I would use a bigger bowl and then I can add more veggies on top or like a plate. And again, I would just that out and then either have my veggies on the side, or it's really good, honestly, if you just mix it all together, because the veggies, which hopefully you added seasoning to them as well, garlic powder, onion powder, pepper, whatever it is that you like, but it tastes really good all mixed together. So what is the nutrition information? So again, I'm going to give you the information first for the noodles that I used, which was the Brami brand Lupini and semolina flour pasta. So for that one, the noodles, and this is just for the noodles without the sauce, since I gave you the nutrition information for the sauce separately, but the noodles cooked, so 200 calories, 12 grams of protein, 37 grams of carbs, 6 grams of fiber, really no sodium at all, 6 milligrams, 260 milligrams of potassium, and the phosphorus ranges anywhere, like other legume pastas, anywhere from 150 to 200 milligrams of phosphorus. So that is for this pasta. Now, let's say you used a whole wheat pasta instead. The calories are similar, about 200 calories. It's a little less protein, 8 grams of protein per serving, a little bit more carbs, 42 grams of carbs, a little less fiber, 5 grams of fiber. Potassium is roughly the same, around 245 milligrams of potassium, and phosphorus the same, 195 milligrams of phosphorus. If you were to use chickpea pasta noodles, again, pretty much all of it's the same. The protein is ranging anywhere from 8 to 12 grams of protein. The lupini bean pasta and chickpea pasta is more fiber, 6 to 7 or even up to 8 grams of fiber. But the thing is, the chickpea pasta noodles and lentil pasta noodles do have more potassium. So they could be anywhere from 500 to 600 milligrams of potassium per serving. And then phosphorus is pretty much the same, about 170 milligrams of phosphorus. Now, I'm sure someone's going to ask about what I've been told. White pasta noodles is what I should have with kidney disease. That is an old and outdated recommendation. It's actually more beneficial to get more fiber and have a less processed grain product with either a whole wheat or a bean pasta noodle. But for comparison, the white pasta noodles, 211 calories, 7 grams of protein, 43 grams of carbs, but only 2 grams of fiber. So you see it has more total carbs, but a lot less fiber. And then the potassium is 127 milligrams of potassium for white pasta noodles and 108 milligrams of phosphorus. So a little bit less phosphorus, a little bit less potassium, but a lot less fiber. So typically we want to look at our diet as a whole and think about how important fiber, gut health, and minimally processed grains. So especially people who have diabetes, so we're not seeing spikes in blood sugar. So that is the overall, depending on what type of pasta you're using, you can base it off that. I'll give you total For this one serving of pasta using the noodles that I used, calories are 238 calories, 15 grams of protein, 143 milligrams of sodium, 52 grams of carbs, 7 to 8 grams of fiber, and 404 milligrams of potassium. So that's low for a meal, right? But we're adding veggies to this. We want to add veggies to this. So you have a lot of wiggle room, even if you're on a low potassium diet, to add a few hundred milligrams of potassium worth of vegetables. If you don't have a potassium restriction, like many people with kidney disease don't, then you can really choose whatever veggies you want and whatever portion you want. But there you have it. It's a one pot, creamy, dairy free, plant-based, kidney friendly, kidney protective pasta.